What's up, people? This is an H Girl 30 here, and this is my NG Minute number 11. I'm going to be telling you the highlights and the lowlights of the wrestling week. And yes, this is late, and yes, I did not do a Raw review. And the reason why is because I have been under the weather as of late, and I haven't been feeling good. But now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I'm going to put in a Raw review with this NG Minute, also talking about TNA and SmackDown. But let's get started on Raw. Now, honestly, I didn't really expect the Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton thing to go to end the way it did. I honestly thought that it was going to extend maybe a little bit after Money in the Bank, maybe 2 Money in the Bank. But since Randy Orton tapped out, shocking enough, this thing actually comes to a close. And it really does seem like they're really gearing Daniel Bryan to win Money in the Bank. But that's pretty much going to be a wild card because RVD is back. They actually announced all of the key players that are going to be on Raw's Money in the Bank. We got RVD, we got Daniel Bryan, we got Randy Orton, we got Sheamus, we got Kane, and we got Christian. Now, with Christian's big return, do you honestly think that he is going to possibly have a shot in the dark in Money in the Bank? That's going to come up next on another video. But I'm going to talk about the highlights of the week first before I get to the lowlights. Now, the highlights of this week is what they're doing with the Divas division. It is nice to see that the Divas have started to become a little bit more entertaining. I really do like what they're doing with AJ Lee and Caitlyn. How they're still extending the feud. And yes, AJ Lee took a page out of Layla's heel notebook when she dressed up as Caitlyn and pretended to be her, and with Biggie Langston on the other side. We get it. You know, we already seen that before. But it's nice the fact that they're actually playing up on this feud and doing a decent storyline for once. And I'm really excited about what they're going to do. Now, the biggest thing of the entire week, well, pretty much not really the entire week, next to the whole thing is the whole being trolled by Sexual Chocolate. And yes, they actually did talk about what Mark Henry did this past Raw. But the highlight of my week, of my Raw wrestling week, in my opinion, is CM Punk's segment. CM Punk is back, people. It has been a long time since we've seen him kick down the fourth wall again like he did with Summer of Punk. And showing how he did that with Paul Heyman really shows me that they're going to do something really big with him going on to Money in the Bank for him versus Brock Lesnar. And I'm looking forward to that. And seeing how Paul Heyman's reaction to it, it really did bring out the best in that segment. It really did outshine pretty much the entire show. Sure, we had great matches here and there. Don't get me wrong, especially the final match between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. But either or, I have to say that this segment stood out to me the most. Now, going to the lowlights of the entire event. The McMahons. There's too much McMahon. I'm sorry. There is. It was great to have the McMahons a part of the storyline when it came to the Attitude Era, when it came to the McMahon-Helmsley era, or the Ruthless Aggression era. It was nice that they were pretty much in the center of every era that the WWE has ever spit out. But it's time for them to back off and try to have the other superstars become the stars, not them. Now, the whole thing of Vicky Guerrero being torn between Vince, Stephanie, and Triple H is ridiculous. I'm sorry, it really is. And the fact is, they're really making Vicky Guerrero look inept, and that's the one thing that I don't really like. It's bad enough she can't get out of her contract with Vince McMahon because it's supposed to be a lifetime contract after Eddie Guerrero died. But now she's stuck at being berated and belittled every single night, made fun of. It's not only the fact that they started making fun of her weight back in the day, now they're making her look completely inept as a manager. Why bother having her there? Just let her go for once. Come on. And another big thing that I consider to be the huge kick in the face or the slap in the face to all the WWE universe is their cover. Now, the thing is that, okay, they were talking about having the WWE universe choose who's going to be on the cover of the latest games coming out, which I am thinking about getting. But either or, you would think that the WWE universe would be able to become artists of the original cover. But what do they become artists of? The back side of the disc. Really? The flip side of the disc is where you're gonna put the art from. You're gonna pretty much tell the WWE Universe, thank you for being so loyal to us that we're going to put you inside the actual package where people are not going to look at it and even care what the art came from. And guess who they chose to be on the cover? The Rock. Now, I'm going to get into that in my discussion at the end of this whole NG Minute. But honestly, I really do think that what they did was a spit in the face of the fans. They did not give the fans the option to actually be a part of the game itself. Allow them to make the art. Allow them to choose the person to be on the front. But no, of course, they have to be in control, and they have to still add whoever they want to be on there, and they're going to stick to WWE on a itty bitty little part of the flip side. Yeah. But, or, I will say that this show happens to be a really solid show. I'm not going to lie. The matches themselves were pretty good, as well as some of the segments. And like I said it was some of the lowlights. They shouldn't have been in there, and it was absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention the fact that they really did not make up their minds what Dolph Ziggler was going to be. If you can't be a babyface if you pull a heel move. And what he did with that Del Rio match, he pulled a heel move against Chris Jericho. He pulled a heel move against him. I'm sorry. Me coming from the golden era, that is not how a face should act. And I hate to say it, but John Cena is more of a face than Dolph Ziggler. But moving on to TNA. Hey, I'm on a different side. Anyway, now it's time for TNA. I will say this. There have been some highlights that I actually did like, and there was possibly one low light. I can say that the finale of this show, the ending of this show, when they finally revealed who Suicide was. Now, in the beginning, well, actually, it wasn't in the beginning. It was somewhat in the middle when we had an X Division match. And we all thought that Suicide won, but we ended up finding out that it really wasn't Suicide. Now, I have to say that not knowing who Suicide is was somewhat of a main part of this entire show. And finding out that the Suicide was Austin Aries, I think was pretty good. It was well planned. Especially the way that Austin Aries had his little promo in the end actually leading up to who he really was. I think it was a great reveal. And I think that, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what he's going to do when he cashes in the belt to go towards Bully Ray, because that's going to be a really good match. And I'm kind of excited about that. Another thing that I really think is a highlight is the Knockouts match. Mickie James versus Velvet Sky. Now, seeing how Velvet Sky broke down, yes, we've seen like far too many breakdowns as of late, I'm not going to lie. But honestly, it was very convincing, it was very emotional, it was very realistic, and I will say that it was indeed a good match. But I'm hoping that this whole Velvet Sky thing is over. I'm hoping that Mickie James will continue to be a dominant heel knockout champion, and we'll move on from this whole Velvet Sky mess. Now, the main event Mafia, the new main event Mafia, is all about these guys, and the one thing that bothers me the most is that we got two Hall of Famers, and then we had all three original members, with Samoa Joe being the third guy. I'm really hoping that they at least try to put somebody else new in there and stop trying to make this whole thing like a reunion. I just want to be completely different, completely dominant, and they're saying that the people who are members of the new main event Mafia were old TNA champions. Were TNA champions at one time. And in my honest opinion, I think the next guy is going to probably be Bobby Roode. And I'm hoping it is Bobby Roode. But the low point of the night, good grief. What are they doing with, what are they doing with James Storm? Like, seriously, what are they doing with James Storm and Gunner? They're not doing anything with these guys. Sure, you're the tag team champions. Great. But then you got this ridiculous segment with Robbie E. and Tara's boyfriend, and Tara in the middle calling her Butterface. Sure, I know that had to be a comedic moment in there, but with Gunner and James Storm, can't you guys put them to better use and just be comic relief? Seriously. I mean, it was a ridiculous segment. It shouldn't have been there, and especially the fact that it's supposed to be all about Bound for Glory. It just didn't really fit. I mean, I don't know, and I really would love to see Tara doing something else than hanging on her boyfriend and just being just being a girlfriend or a valet or whatever. I'd rather see her do more than that. But honestly, TNA was a really good show. I had no complaints about it except for some of the segments. And it really wasn't so. It really kind of was about Bound for Glory. They didn't really completely cut out Bound for Glory, but then the whole Who is Suicide segment kind of did overtake some parts of the show, but it wasn't completely bad. Now moving on to SmackDown. And now it's time for SmackDown. But before I get to SmackDown, congratulations to the Big O, who happens to be the best friend of Zack Ryder, to actually win Gut Check on TNA. For those that don't know who the Big O is, go back and watch Z True Hollywood Story. You'll see tons and tons of shots of him on there. He's actually the best friend of Zack Ryder as well as Dolph Ziggler. But moving on to SmackDown, I have to say that it was a really nice opener. It was very creative, and I love creativity, especially with their Dublin street fight. Sure, you think it messed with every single stereotype they can throw an Irishman, but honestly, it was really unique and very interesting. And the fact is, like, you would usually see trash cans, you usually see the usual kendo sticks or Singapore canes or whatever, but you usually see like the regular stuff around. Instead, you saw like an old tap with like a keg of Guinness beer, an empty keg of Guinness beer. Then you actually saw a green bar stool. Then you saw a green kendo stick and a sack of potatoes. I mean, it was really very creative. I liked it, especially the way they used the weapons. They used the crap out of the Singapore canes. But I will say that I absolutely loved this match, and it was really great to open up to that. Not to mention that they actually finally showed the interest music to SmackDown. They actually had the theme music for SmackDown. Finally, we haven't really seen that in a while. We've seen Raws from time to time, but you really don't see a lot of the opening music, the opening theme from SmackDown. I thought it was kind of refreshing to actually see that. But moving on from there, I love, and I can't stress enough how much I love what they're doing with AJ Lee and Caitlyn. It's the best thing that's ever happened to the Divas division, especially now that Total Divas is coming out. They're really hyping up the Divas division because of that show, which and it actually is somewhat of a plus for now. We haven't really seen the show. We don't really know exactly how it's going to go. Regardless of that, they're doing a lot with the Divas. They're not just letting them sit there. And the fact that Caitlyn finally shot back at AJ Lee and started teasing her the way that AJ was teasing Caitlyn the previous on Monday Night Raw, I actually thought it was really great. I thought it was really funny. And seeing how Caitlyn was trying to dress like AJ was kind of funny because Caitlyn is a pretty big girl. Not that she's a fat big girl, but she just has a lot of muscles and she looks like a real woman. So her coming out dressed like AJ Lee was kind of funny because AJ has pretty much a body of a 12-year-old boy. Seriously, she does. I'm sorry. She has a body of a petite little. No, she has a body of a 12-year-old girl. I actually would say more 12-year-old girl. She has boobs. But either or. The thing is, it was kind of funny seeing her skip around and just twirling her hair and being all crazy. I thought it was cute. I really do. And congratulations on Natalya and Tyson Kidd for getting married. I had no idea until I actually saw it on WWE.com, but congratulations to those two, even though they're not watching. But SmackDown really doesn't have a lot of negative points. I really can't find any negative points about SmackDown because it really is a solid wrestling show. I didn't particularly care much for Kane versus Randy Orton. I didn't really care much for that because that's a feud that should have died out. But honestly, the only complaint, that's a really good match, but the only complaint I have is this. Don't do it in Columbia anymore. Now, the thing is that Raw was held in Charleston, South Carolina. And SmackDown was held in Columbia, South Carolina. Now, Columbia, since we all know that SmackDown actually shows on Tuesday and then airs on Friday, you're not going to have a lot of people there because they're going to have to work. And always, the last time I was there and I was there live, They split the entire arena in half, having the left side completely covered, nothing but black tarp, and having people there. They had a few people sitting there, but then they put all of the cameras on the right side, showing everyone on the right side, them having the fun. Here's the thing that I'm going to say. Do it in Charleston, and do it in Charleston alone. Charleston was sold out. You actually saw the entire arena. No blackouts, no tarp, no nothing. They had the best crowd I have ever heard in South Carolina since Greenville. Seriously, do it in Charleston. Stop doing it in Columbia. You don't have enough fans there. You have nothing but college kids and maybe the occasional John Cena fans, and most of the kids there are looking for Randy Orton than John Cena. But honestly, stop doing it in Columbia. Do it in Charleston, okay? They had a better crowd. The crowd in Columbia sucked. Like, I'm sorry, it sucked. Do it in Charleston from now on. And that's my only gripe for SmackDown. But all in all, it's a great wrestling show. It's always been a great wrestling show. I have absolutely no complaints at all about it, period. So honestly, way to go, SmackDown. And not only that, they actually did announce the Money in the Bank contenders. I have to look on the website because it's really tough to remember them all. The reason why is because that they are not doing All-Stars this time. They are actually thinking of the future. So I'm really happy to say that thank you, Teddy Long, for thinking that way. Straight up, honestly, that was a really great way to go. Here are the contenders for the SmackDown Money in the Bank for the World Heavyweight Championship. We got Wade Barrett. We got Cody Rhodes. We got Damian Sandow. We got Dean Ambrose. We got Fandango. We got Jack Swagger. And we also got Antonio Cesaro. I don't even know why they chose Antonio Cesaro, but it's good for him than for him to be the Money in the Bank. The only thing is that they don't really have a lot of high flyers in this. They got nothing but brawlers. Maybe Cody Rhodes can be somewhat of a high flyer, but they're all brawlers. And not only that, they're all heels, which is even better because you know they're going to play dirty, which is going to really make this SmackDown Money in the Bank more interesting because we all know that heels play dirty. And this is going to be a lot more interesting than the faces that they have on Raw. So I'm straight up really interested in their Money in the Bank match. Screw Raw. But honestly, I am all about the Money in the Bank match. All in all, I have to say that SmackDown was indeed a solid show. I actually have barely any complaints about it except for the location and the fans as well. But all in all, really great. But let's end this with a discussion, shall we? Now, I was actually going to talk about the cover that they're going to have for the latest WWE game and how they chose The Rock. Now, let's face it, The Rock is going to be pretty much done with the WWE for now, especially what happened with WrestleMania. People saying it's probably a work. People saying it's a rumor. But how much butt do you have to kiss of The Rock's to get him to come back? Why put him on the cover? He's gone. He's done. You're better off putting Stone Cold Steve Austin on it. But not only that, you said that the fans will be the one that actually be the artist of this thing. Why give them the inside cover? Why give them the disc instead of the outside cover? I think that was a jip, and I think it's even a bigger jip how they put The Rock on there, and they can put someone else. They can put someone else on there who happens to represent the future of the brand. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you feel that The Rock deserved to be on the cover of the latest WWE game? And do you feel that it was fair for what they did with the fans to make them think that they're going to be the artist, but when they weren't? Let me know by leaving a comment in the comment section below, or send me a video response of how you feel about this discussion. It's Nate Girl 30 signing off. Peace out. Later.